in my backyard, opening my gate and taking a look at my neighbor's garden. And as you can see, we have these beautiful flowers right here. I'm gonna just take a little zoom in, and I'm going to show you what this looks like under the camera. I'm going to be using an 80mm lens, and we're going to be capturing some of these, and maybe it can be used as a backdrop. All right, and just to let you know, this is what my area looks like. Lots of rain clouds around. Yeah, but at least we can still use our camera and get some nice photos of some flowers. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so we are on our desktop now, and I am just going to be loading up the photos that I was able to take in my backyard. Fun fact, the rain started to fall, and it was actually falling for quite a while. All right, and I said to myself, I said, wow, imagine I can't even take some photos. Luckily it drizzled off, and I was able to get one or two shots around my backyard. So I am using my Sony A3000 mirrorless camera. I'm using also an Albenar one actually a Albenar 2.8, right? It's actually a Pentax lens. All right, it's a 2.8. What you call it's not a zoom. It's not a zoom lens at all. All right, it's not a zoom lens. It's a stationary lens. The only zoom in that you're going to be doing with this lens is with your feet. And I went out into my backyard to get some photos. Now, this is an f135mm. So I'm using a 135mm, the same lens that I use for astrophotography, the same lens I am using for natural photography, backyard photography. All right, and it just shows you the versatility of the lens and also the versatility of the operator. Who knew? Right, so I'm gonna just jack this in. Of course, I'm here on my Linux desktop, and I am just going to jack my whole camera in to my system here. All right, so I am going to start back this whole process again. I recognize that I was probably using a wrong code, a code that probably did not allow me the sort of data transfer speeds that I really needed. So I'm going to be using a different code now, and let's check and see what happens. All right, so I was able to get the code back in, and yes, all right, we see immediately it shows me my ILCE, right, which is my mirrorless camera, my ILCE 3000. It's up, and it says open and import with pics. So let's open and import with pics and see what that does. All right, so I already have a folder created here. All right, so I am actually going, I want to create a different type of folder. So I am leaving this right here. I am going over here, and right inside of pictures, I am going to be creating a folder. All right, so I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call it backyard natural photography. Right, and so this makes things a little easier. Backyard natural photography, right? And I am going to be searching for that close. All right, so let's backyard natural photography, right there we go. Open up that. Good. So I'm here, backyard natural photography, right? That's my preferred, and Right, see it down here, backyard natural photography, and I am going to import that. So right now it's going to import all of the photos that I took. All right, so already we are seeing a number of the shots that we took this afternoon. So I'm just waiting on it to finish load the balance of them, and then we're going to discuss a little bit, and maybe even talk a little bit about the lens that we use. All right, so I'll be back as soon as this loads up. All right, and here we are. Our operation is absolutely completed, and you can see these are the photos that we were able to take this afternoon in our backyard. So I am going to just open it up here a little bit so you can see. All right, and this is a lovely photo of an orchid flower that my neighbor has in her garden right next door, and you can see the rain was falling. You can see the water droplets there, and this Pentax 135mm really does a great job. There's a high level of compression in the back. You can see the bouquet the background is completely blurred out, and the subject is quite or very much in focus here. All right, the background is totally blurred, and the subject is very much there, and you can see all I'm doing is just rolling my mouse wheel to enlarge the photo, and here you can see the lovely orchid plant or orchid flower in full bloom, and you see in some of the water droplets there. Just to let you know that it was really raining heavily on our side. All right, and this is some different exposures I was working with, and this one is just a little bit darker. Right, so we're gonna go in and do a bit of processing of this. All right, and I'm just gonna do a very quick processing to show you that don't be afraid of manual lenses. Don't be afraid of lenses that don't zoom. Use your feet and zoom in, and just don't be afraid. All right, so I'm gonna be using my raw therapy. I'm gonna pull my raw therapy up here. Raw therapy is a program that I use to transition from that which is in my photo library straight into GIMP. So let's look here. All right, and raw therapy does a quick job of getting all of the photos in the folder that we were created. Remember, I was talking about backyard natural photography. This is just right in my backyard here, and right, everything looks great. Now the ones that have the bright background, they look nice, but I truly love the ones that has the darker background, and I'm gonna double click on that. It should bring it up there in a little bit. And of course, my camera shoots in both RAW and JPEG. Of course, I am using the RAW image and RAW. That's the format it has. When you are doing photo processing, always use the RAW format. Don't be afraid of using the RAW format. All right, and because I'm using the Sony A3000, it has an A and the RW, so the ARW is Sony's way of letting you know that this is the raw formatting. And I am going to go and I'm not going to do any sort of, no, you can use raw therapy to preliminary do some processing, but I'm not going to do any processing at all. I'm just going to send it straight over to GIMP. right? I'm going to send it straight over to the GNU uh, imaging manipulation program, or GIMP. Send it completely over there, and I'm in GIMP 2.10. It is asking me to import the image from the color profile. Of course, I'm going to do that. All right, and here we are. Okay, so I'm in GIMP, and I am going to do some processing of this photo here. Now, I want to do some non-destructive photo processing. And what does that mean? I am going to quickly make an image. Now, duplicate this image. There's a way that you can do, a couple ways that you can do this. You can right click, all right? And after you right click, you can duplicate the layer, or right down at the bottom here, you can also duplicate the layer. So I am going to just duplicate the layer by clicking right here, and as you can see, it's duplicated. And right, so the reason why we duplicate it is that we are going to do all of our photo manipulation with the duplicated image, so that the original image, it stays pristine, no problems at all, and we can actually compare our manipulation or processing with the original image. So I like to, I'm pressing plus on my keyboard, and by pressing plus on the keyboard, it brings the image up a little closer. Press plus again, and here we see, right now, this lens is so very sharp that you can see all of the striations within the flower. And one of the things I like to do immediately, I like to go into filters. I want to enhance the photo, and I'm going to sharpen, and I'm going to click that, and immediately you see that there was a change in the photo. It does a little preliminary change for you, but I am going to up the ante just a little bit, right? And I'm going to click OK, right? And now we're going to compare before, after. Are we seeing that? Before, it's a little slightly blurry. After, right? So I'm going to go back again into filters, enhance. I'm going to sharpen that up a little bit. All right. The radius, I'm going to increase that a little bit, and the amount, I'm going to go up a little bit here. All right. I don't want it to look too grainy, but remember, we have we don't want to create on the edges. All right. You see on the edges, you have some fringing taking place there. We don't want too much of that, so I'm just going to back down a little bit. Right. All right, and then click OK. Great. So by doing that, what we actually did there is that we have sharpened the image, right? So if it was a little blurry, it is now having a very sharp look. Now, from here now, this image, I love it absolutely. I love the fact that the background is dark. I'm going to go into colors, and I'm going to go and into exposure a little bit, and I'm just going to raise the exposure a slight bit. I'm using the pointers here, and I'm going to just increase a little bit. Alright, just going to increase a little bit, and we're going to compare to before, after. Are we seeing that vast improvement between before, looks a little bit blurry, and after? Alright, now remember, we are still enlarged. We're going to be posting this up on our Instagram, and we are going to also be posting this up on our Facebook page. So when we post it to the Facebook page, these little minor you nobody will know the difference whatsoever. uh, I'm not gonna post the before and after. I'm just gonna post the after. Now we can do a split screen where we can show you the before and after, but I'm not going to split the screen right now. I am just going to be doing some slight manipulation here. Great. So it looks great. I am also going to go in and do a bit of contrasting. The thing with contrast is the more you apply contrast, it plays a bit on the overall illumination of the photo. And let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to put up the contrast, and you recognize that immediately it brings it a little bit darker. So I'm going to put it back to the original mark, and I'm going to carry the brightness up just a little bit. We were doing that a little bit earlier, and this is the reason why we did it. Not too much. Right now it's personal preference, and then I'm going to bring the contrast up now a little bit there. Great. That looks fantastic. Let's do a split view. We can see, and we can also do a before and after. Before, after, before, after. Now what we could have also done is, after we have done each stage, we could have duplicated each stage. All right, and so we would have had a long line of duplication here, but I didn't want to do all of that. And the reason why reason why it is good to do that is that if you make a mistake on each stage, you can go back to the previous stage instead of doing back or going back and doing over all that you've done, right? So that's just another way that you can track your progress in terms of processing, right? So I'm pressing minus on my keyboard, and minus brings it back down. And do you see how beautiful this photo looks? This is the before, and this is the after. Before, after. You can hardly ever see anything there. I'm going to increase the magnification a bit by pressing plus on my keyboard, and I am going to tweak the colors a little bit. So I am going into saturation. Saturation, you have to be very, very mindful how you apply the saturation. You don't want to go overboard, right, and blow the whole thing out and it looks unnatural, right? So you want to apply saturation gradually to your image. You want to apply it just gradually to your image, right? I'm quickly pressing the preview, right? This is right, and you want to apply the saturation ever so slightly, right? And I can do a split view, and I can also do a before and after. And you see, before, it looks a little bit, now that we are looking at the before and after, this is the image before. It was looking good, but since we applied all of our processing, it looks more, how should I say, refined. The water droplets are coming out and looking more pronounced. Before, it just looks sort of blurry, but in our after, you can actually see the water droplets looking much better, and then you see our image there looking very, very good. So that's good enough there for me. I can simply go in and do a bit, you could do a bit more, put the exposure up a little bit. Right, and there we go, and this image is finished, and it looks good enough there for me. Now you might not like how it's done there, you probably might want to do something different. But for me, this image is great. I can use it as an image on my desktop. I can put some nice quotations. I can use Canva. I can put some nice quotations, like a good Bible quote or something like that, and I can post it up on my Instagram stories. I can put some nice music to it, and that goes to show you the amount of things that you can do with a very beautiful image like this one. All right. So this is an orchid flower. It looks more like a dendrobium of some sort. It's not a cymbidium, it's more of a dendrobium of some sort. And here is our before, straight out of the camera. And here is our after. And it's a vast difference between the two. All right, so this is just to show you what we can do in GIMP. So I am going to go to file. I'm going to save this. I'm going to export this image, and I'm going to export it right onto my desktop. I'm going to call it Orchid. I'm going to call it Orchid. Yeah, let's going to call it Orchid, and I am going to select JPEG, which is the image format for sharing, the official image sharing format, because it's more compressed, right? It's more compressed and easy on your export or your downloading speed and all of that. I'm going to carry this all the way up to 100 as the quality. I'm going to export that right to my desktop, so I can always move it whenever I want. All right, and if I go to my desktop, you're going to see that the image is right up here. There we go. Fantastic. Right? Fantastic. All right, so that's just how it is. I want to go back into raw therapy again, and we are going to be looking at some of the other photos that we were able to take. I'm just going to be showing them to you here. This is one photo of our orchid plant. Not orchid, this is a cactus plant actually. There we go. This is a cactus plant, and as I said, the rain was really falling outside, and the compression on this lens is amazing. See, the background is completely blurred. I want to do some pictures, probably of my nieces and so, and nieces and or nephews, and show you how this lens is also a great portrait lens. All right, it's also a great portrait lens. So let's take a look at my snake plant. This is another photo that I was able to take. And here is the snake plant. There you go. And I am blown away by the compression of this lens. When I talk about compression, it is the separation of the foreground to the background. Notice that the background is completely blurred out. That bokeh is magnificent. I have not done anything to the image. This is straight out of camera, straight out of Compton, straight out of the camera, right? And it's just a photo of my snake plant right in the background. I'm gonna just I tilted the camera slightly to get a sort of a portrait view instead of the landscape view that we are all accustomed to. And here's what it looks like. Right now, it's a bit more on the darker side. My ISO was ISO 100, all right, and I use 1/40th, and so in terms of shutter speed, which really they tell you that anything below 50 will give you blur, or give you camera shake, will give you blur. But let me just put this over into GIMP very quickly, right? And I'm going to select that. I'm going to put this over into GIMP, and I'm going to just enlarge it in GIMP, and show you that even at 1/40th of a second shutter speed, right, with this lens, you don't get the type of um, all right, so let me get over into GIMP. Right. Right, good. So the first image is what we just did, and GIMP has a way of showing you that you can multitask, you can do 2, 3 projects at the same time, right? So this is my snake plant right in my garden outside, and look at this, 1/40th. Right, and the image is crystal clear. Watch that. You can barely recognize the difference. Hardly any camera shaking going on. Right, now the back there is just a little soft, but notice the foreground here. Right, I can minus that, and I can put a bit of I can open up the exposure a little bit. I prefer when I'm shooting, I can shoot and in RAW, and you can bring up the exposure quite a bit, and here is the difference, and here we are. Right, I'm going to duplicate that right there, so you can see. I'm going to do the whole thing over, and you're going to be able to see the difference with this image. So the first thing that we did, let's press plus, we enlarge the image there a little bit. All right, and after we have enlarged the image, what we're going to do, I'm going to go over into colors. I'm going to brighten this up a little bit by going into the exposure tab, and I'm going to expose it. Right, good. And at this point, it's just a personal taste. So I have enlarged the image a little bit, and I have put some brightness into it. Now it is better that you shoot more on the darker side, not too dark, not too bright, but if you had a choice, it's better to shoot on the a little bit on the darker side, 1 or 2 stops on the darker side, so you can always illuminate as needed using the exposure or using the graph. And there are different ways in which you can do it. You can go to colors, you can go to curves, and right here you can manipulate your image accordingly. Right, if I push up, it will bring it bright. If I push down, it will bring it dark. I can put it back to the center. All right, so it's just a way of changing your image. But here we can see the before and after, and as we are right here, I am going to just enlarge a little bit so that you can see a little bit better. I'm going back into colors, and I'm going into saturation, and I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit. In fact, quite a bit. And we can see some coloration coming into some of these shrubs that are around the snake plant here, and I'm going to click OK. Now, as I said, this is personal taste. You might not want to do it as bright as me, but you do it as you would like. And here's the before, here is the after, and the final thing I'm going to do, I am going to go over into filters. I'm going to enhance, and I am going to sharpen that up there. I'm going to sharpen that, and I'm going to close it out, and I'm going to go and do it all over again. Enhance, sharpen, and I'm going to do it up here. I'm going to click OK. Great. Now look at the difference before, and look at the difference afterwards. Are we seeing a difference there? Oh yeah. And I am going to be posting this also on my Instagram. So I'm going to go to file. I'm going to go to export as. Um, I'm going to call this my snake plant. The nowadays term is snake plant, but I grew up knowing this plant as mother-in-law's tongue. All right. Um, with GIMP, you have to select your file extension. So I'm going to use the JPEG file extension, and I'm going to click export. I'm going to put the quality up to 100, and I'm going to export that. Great. All right. And we're just going to take a look at some others that I did. Not going to process those, but I'm just going to show you how the type of images you're going to get from. It's a stationary lens, right? There is no zoom on that lens. You zoom with your feet. It's 135 millimeters, f2.8. I was shooting at f2.8, right? And this is just some shrub that was on my fence, and there's the hill in the background completely blurred out. I'm going to show you here. This is a cassava plant, and for those of you who don't know what a cassava plant looks like, this is what a cassava plant looks like. And brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I love the way how the leaves look. I love the coloration that this lens gives. All right. I also have another one of my neighbor's plants here that I'm going to show you. This is a perfect lens for isolating image, right? 80 millimeter is good, but I love the compression with this 135 millimeter. Right, look at this. Look at this. And crystal clear. My ISO here was 400, and I use 1/100 of a second, so there is no problem with camera shake whatsoever. There's no problem whatsoever with camera shake. And as I said, with GIMP, you can do 2-3 image. You can work on 2-3 images at the same time, and it's a beautiful program. This is the first image that we did. This is the second image that we did, and this is the third image straight out of the camera. No processing there as yet. I am going to go into duplicating that. Right. I'm going to press the plus. That's the plus. That's to enlarge it and to see how it looks. Right. Slight bit of grain, but that grain is okay because you won't see that with your natural eye. You won't see that with your natural eye at all. And you don't want your photos looking like, it was done by artificial intelligence. So a little grain is good. All right. And this is, you won't see this with your natural eye. This is just enhanced here. And let me tell you the size of the file. This is 491 megabytes of information here, my friends. 495 megabytes of information. Are we seeing the veins in the leaves? Are we seeing that? That's awesome. I'm gonna come back out here a little bit, and let's process this one and see what it looks like. I'm going to first enhance. I'm going to sharpen this image a little bit. I always like to sharpen my images because sometimes, no matter how good you are of a photographer, when you sharpen that image, it makes a total difference. Before, after. Let's sharpen him up a little bit again. Enhance. and you always do it in small increments. Always sharpen in small increments. Okay, I think that's way too much. I'm gonna come out back out here a little bit. Good. You do in small increments before we seeing how blurry it is there afterwards, right? And then we can come back out just a little bit. And I like to play around with the contrast a lot. I'm going to go into the brightness contrast, and I'm going to put up some contrast here. Contrast makes the background and the foreground separate from each other. There you go. And I'm also going to work on the colors by increasing the saturation, especially for Instagram. Instagram likes a lot of colors, right? So I'm going to colorize this guy, right? But we don't want to make it over too bright. Bring it down a little bit. Okay, right? So this is the before. This is the after. Now notice the coloration on the flower itself before sort of washed out, but afterwards, there we go. And I can come back out. There we go. And I can put some nice quotation on the outside here, as I said, using Canva. And I'm just going to do that quickly and show you how easy it is. How easy it is to put up some stuff on your Instagram stories. So I like how this image looks. It is really, really great. I'm going to go to File, Export As. I'm going to put it right on the desktop again, right? In fact, I can create a folder on my desktop, right? And I'm going to put backyard photos. So I can put all of what I did in that folder. And I can also move that folder and put it back into the image or the photos. So I'm saving it as a JPEG. I'm going to put the quality 100%. Great. And that is done. I'm going to minimize GIMP. I'm going to minimize raw therapy, right? And as you see here, backyard photos, and the photo I did, I can put that up in there. So when I open my backyard photo, there we have our... Now the snake plant, we didn't export that one, but I'm going to do that in a little bit. But I just want to show you how easy it is using Canva. So I'm going to open up my Canva here. Right, I'm going to go straight to Canva. Right, now Canva is going to ask me where I want to do with it. I usually make YouTube thumbnails, so it's right up here, but I want to put it into social media. So I'm going to click social media, and of course it want to ask me what I want to do with it. Do I want to make an Instagram story? Do I want to make an Instagram reel? I want to make an Instagram story, so I'm going to just click that. Right, so immediately it gives me the formatting for Instagram stories. I'm going to go over into uploads, and then I'm going to upload a file, and I'm going to go to my desktop where my backyard photos are. Double click to open up. I'm going to choose this one right here that we just did. I'm going to click open. Alright, and it is importing. You see the progress marker here for Canva. It's a huge file, although we put it into JPEG format. It's almost there, and it's there. So we're just going to drag it over. Great. And because it's a huge file, I can do something like this. Great. Wonderful. Right? And from here, I can put a text. And I don't want to put something like God cares all about you. There we are. Now I can click here, put enter there, and I want to move this like right to the top here. Right. God cares all about you. Wonderful. And I know you can't see it very much there, but here's what I like to do. I go over into elements and click on this dark element here. All right, and I'm gonna. I know you're gonna be a little bit confused right now, but I'm gonna show you. Right now, I like it to pop out a little bit, so I'm going to click on the color of that element here, and I'm gonna put it yellow. There, and it is bright for the world to see, and there you see God cares all about you. I'm gonna leave that there, and I could always send this off to somebody. All right, I can share it straight from Canva to my social media. Here my Instagram is already up. I can click on Instagram. Right. How would you like to post to Instagram? Immediately post from the mobile app. I can click that, continue, and I can use the Canva mobile app to post to Instagram. Right? Scan the QR code to download the app so that you can share your designs and your DMs and all of that. So, not gonna go through all of that right now, but I'm just showing you how easy it is to have your photos shared to your favorite social media platform and all of that. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down, or you can put in the comment section. We will battle it in the comment section if you didn't like this video at all, if you find it was too lengthy, but I hope that you were able to learn something, how you can have your images straight from your camera to your desktop, from your desktop, how you can spruce up your photo, have it looking bright and ready for your social media, how you can put it on social media, how you can add graphics, how you can add words, whatever, to your social media pics and have it looking really, really good. All right. So this is Desmond O'Neill here from O'Neill Photography with another tutorial. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time. Take care, everybody.